Let me see if I get this thing squared away first. I'm going to show you a little 10-minute video. Should just move this out of the way?
Just slide that over.
Okay.
Slide it over to your right, just far enough to.
Soldier proof.
And then I think.
Then to start again.
Yeah, I think this.
Yeah, unmuted too.
Unmute.
Okay, should be good.
I don't know why I'm standing here. It's not like I'll know how to fix anything.
Just turn the volume.
Where? Here it goes. I can hear it. Yeah, it's almost fun. Can everybody see that?
Resilience, the whole idea of snapping back, like a rubber band. It can be stretched, but it snaps back, so it doesn't break. The Army has to be a certain level of stress because we're preparing people for combat or being able to accomplish a mission under stressful conditions. So it's important that people are stretched beyond their current ability. However, what about when they're stretched too far?
When you're training, they tell you to look out for suspicious activity and everything. And it doesn't really click at first when you're going on patrols and there's no cars on the road or anything, there's no people on the side of the street. It doesn't start to click at first, but after a while when you start hearing about IEDs going off when no one was around, then you start to worry a little bit and you really start keeping a lookout for anything and everything.
I know we rolled up on a house, an Iraqi house, that had a V-bid run into it. And they had already moved most of it out, but you could still find about as many pieces of the guy driving as you could the car. And I mean, what are you gonna do? You kind of laugh. They didn't even blow the house down.
So I went over there one morning just to kind of help him through the day. And he thought, he knew that he was having some serious issues, so he gave me all of his guns just to get the guns out of the house. We thought they were all out of the house.
You know their tendencies. And when they stop being that person that you used to seeing, you automatically know as a person that something's wrong with that other person.
There was short one person that we needed. So pretty much everything we had set up was, I guess you could say, it's what I'm looking for. I guess you messed up.
It's not normal for soldiers to be away from their loved ones, from their possessions for 12 months, and to come back and, if you're fortunate enough, you're home for 12 months, and then you're going to redeploy again. It's not normal for the soldiers to endure this, and it's not normal for the family members.
You actually start to want something to happen, and just so you can know what it was like to be in combat or something.
As an NCO, I fulfill that obligation by calling in and checking on a soldier.
Wish I don't know why it happened. Wish you would have said something.
Yeah. There's a lot more stress in a military family than there is in your everyday civilian life.
You can kind of feel the vibe from everyone that there's just something missing, and it really starts to bring you down.
and you're separated from your platoon and from what was your family for a year, I think that's when it gets real hard.
Your family pulling you this way and the Army pulling you this way. So it's kind of hard.
15 months, 10 months, 12 months.
Like, I don't want to do this. I hate this. Can we stop this? I want to go home.
You're constantly paranoid about something happening, just always on the lookout, and it's really stressful. It's never what you expect it to be, and I know we wanted something to happen, but not that early, and we just weren't ready for it.
There are programs out there that you can get through and get help by. Just don't try to do it all by yourself. That's the thing I would want to get across the most.
Over the last 6+ years, there has been a need for soldiers and family members to develop coping mechanisms. It's about life skills, problem solving, learning how to deal with adversity with a healthier attitude. They could be having issues with their marriage, or sometimes just anger management issues within themselves. This could be either the service member or the spouse as well. We could have a client come into Army Emergency Relief that needs financial assistance. But after you do an assessment with the client, you might see that there's a need to refer them over to Family Advocacy Program. You know, these are the services that we have available, and it's to help you. Is to help you grow. Because when soldiers and family members are squared away in all aspects of their life, then the soldier can focus on the mission. If we can't meet it here, is there an outside agency that we can possibly refer him or her to see if they can meet their need?
This goes to every single vet out there. It's not just active duty, it's not just reserve, National Guard, it's all. Every branch of service, everybody. The state of Texas. Just wanted to issue out money to all the local mental health facilities in every county of Texas to help the veterans out with PTSD. They gave us this facility called the A.B. Fall Mansion, along with money to restore it. We're going to call it the Soldiers Mansion, and what it's for the veterans, soldiers, and the family members.
This room right here is going to be our place where we do the peer-to-peer facilitating and counseling. We're going to also, with the ORF operation, resilient family.
And he's got to worry about A, his deployment, B, not getting shot or blown up in that deployment, and C, taking care of his family back in the rear. And what we want to do is try to help them out, help the family out, and help the soldier out before, during, and after the deployment. My name is Mike Anslinger. I'm diagnosed with PTSD, but I'm here to help the individual soldiers and their families.
we see soldiers grow. We see soldiers not just becoming able to cope with their symptoms, but actually grow beyond their symptoms into even better potential leaders than they were when they came in. We have a population of 30 soldiers at any one point in time are here with us 35 hours. So our core duties are to serve those 35 soldiers and give them the best possible treatment so they can go back and continue to serve. So we will match them up with the availability of services and try to match it to the soldier. It's very, very distressing sometimes to see their pain when they come in, but it's a whole lot easier knowing we have something to offer to help them get past that.
I had told people they needed to get help. I'm a medic. I talked to them out of suicide, you know, get them up to the next level of care. But that wasn't me, you know, I wasn't that guy. I could see it in other people, but that wasn't me, and it was me.
We work so many hours, and some people feel, hey, we don't get paid to do this. We here all night, but it comes with the life of being a soldier. It gets stressful though.
Push through it. I mean, there's gonna be hard times and there's gonna be easy times. You just gotta deal with it.
Soldiers work as teams. Soldiers survive in combat because they cover each other. And I think it needs to be the same in this kind of situation as well. It's just another battle.
So you just try to stick together and just keep each other out of trouble.
You know, I talk to them. Hopefully they feel better. They feel better able to cope, try and help them to regain perspective, help them to figure out a plan, what they need to do. But then, you know, I usher them out of my office and close the door, get back to work, and who deals with them then? It's the person who brought them, their buddy, their NCO. And so when it's a team effort like that, including command becoming involved, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Okay, I apologize for that. I thought I had it streaming a lot better during the break, but, you know, it happens, I guess. Now, this was supposed to be talking about the PTSD. It's not just the military, right? What about here in El Paso? Who would, you know, what would happen with PTSD? What are some of the jobs you think would have get PTSD or be diagnosed with it? Firemen, police force, law enforcement, hospitals. So yeah, there you go, exactly. So it's not just the military, all right? But right now I could only speak for myself. I am diagnosed with PTSD through combat, okay? But you could see a lot of the familiarities with the soldiers and what they experienced with the police force and the fire departments. I mean, you know, Sergeant Hall, Doc Hall, he was my medic. He was my lead medic in my company. Yes, there was a V-bed that blew up, and, you know, we had to recover all the body parts. You know, it happens here in El Paso, too, in vehicle wrecks, accidents, you know. There's missions where we had to pick up body parts for DNA identification, okay? It's just stuff like that. It sticks in your brain. Same goes with here. You know, also an explosion. We had one time, and with my he was my soldier, Dan Weber. We were out in northern Iraq. It was my last deployment before I retired. 4 vehicle-borne IEDs. In other words, a vehicle full of explosives blew up in a city, a town actually. It was actually 2 towns next to each other. They were, the only reason why they were blown up and killed because they were a different type of religion. My soldiers were the first ones to go upon that scene, and you're looking at 1,500 civilians dead. And the rest of my men trying to take care of those wounded civilians. There wasn't one soldier involved in these bombs, you know, and they just wanted to kill them because there was a different religion. And my men had to take a hold of babies and just, you know, hold them, and they couldn't do anything. The baby was bleeding out and just died in their arms. You know, doesn't that affects you right there? Definitely. We set up a triage. We didn't have any first aid, anything like that. We had our combat lifesavers bags. We were just knuckle draggers, you know. We weren't medics. We shoot people, all right? We just had combat lifesavers. We ran out of that in about the first 30 minutes, wasn't it? We start tearing shirts, doing all that stuff, setting up a triage, trying to get these guys, you know, fixed until the Iraqi army came. But, you know, they never showed up. But that affects your brain right there for, you know, for life. And that's one of the reasons why I started this program. Originally, a little bit of history, when I was going to retire, I was retiring, I was getting ready to go to either A, Africa, or B, Afghanistan, to teach soldiers how to shoot and kill. That was my job. I loved it, you know. I did very well at my job. Then I got approached by a person helping me out, you know, talked to me, hey, you know, we need, because we started talking about, you know, my deployments and all that stuff and what we went through and how the Army's going. And he said, you know, I need a man like you. And to start this program, to be my military liaison and, you know, to bridge that gap between Fort Bliss and beat that stigma, you know. So I took the job. It's like, well, I didn't want to deploy again. You know, I've been gone with my wife for 22 years. My normal year, I'd probably see her. Well, I'd be deployed over 280 days out of that year for quite a while. When we first got married 23 years ago, I dropped her off in an empty apartment. I said, see you later. I'm going to Panama, you know. And then she didn't see me for a month. that was our honeymoon. All right. So I wanted to stay home. You know, I wanted to stay home, and I thought this is a great opportunity to help soldiers. You know, I'm still a soldier at heart, and this is the best way to help them. You know, we've experienced suicides within our company. A lot of even a spouse suicide. I mean, it affects everybody, and it's an ongoing problem. And one main thing, my goal was to beat that stigma. Okay. The Army is a big green machine, and it takes a long time to get those gears rolling, okay? And I could see now in the city and the county, it's the same thing. So you have to start out somewhere, all right? This video right here helped out with the stigma within Fort Bliss. It was filmed when we had a big formal. I mean, it was shown when we had a big formal, and all the generals were there, and everybody, you know, everybody high brass people. Then they started, you know, going, okay, we got to break this stigma. Okay, there is a problem. The history behind that is, if I would go to see a mental health doc within, you know, William Beaumont, that would be a mark against my career. My old job, I have to have a secret security clearance. You know, I couldn't work without a security clearance. Number 42 on your SF-86, I believe it is if you ever seen, question number 14, have you ever seen a mental health physician? If you check yes in that block, you're through. That security clearance will not go. All right? We stopped that. All right? Sergeant Major of the Army, Preston, he stopped that. It was a big battle, you know, up in Washington, D.C., but it finally got cleared. Okay, so that number is no longer there. That's one stigma. Okay, we're helping out. Now, the biggest one that I feel, because, you know, it's down in the trenches. You know, same with the fire departments, police departments, sheriffs, everybody. Down in the trenches where you're riding with that soldier, or you're on patrol with that person, or you're in a sniper hole. Are you gonna, if this guy's like, okay, Dan, my spotter, all right, and I'm behind my weapon, all of a sudden, hey, I remember that guy went to go see that crazy doctor. Is that dude crazy? You know, can I trust this guy? You know, that's in their brain, all right? That, you know, you think about it, it's like, do I really trust this guy? This guy might be crazy and go off on me. Or he might start screaming and jumping around. That's where we've got to break the stigma there. Exactly. Bring it down to the first line leaders in every situation you can. And that'll break that stigma. Along with helping out with mental health first aid, we teach the soldiers, and I like to focus on the first line leaders. First line leaders are the corporals, the Sergeant E5s, and the staff sergeants that really work face to face with privates, you know, the individual soldiers. Get those classes in there, all right? And that's what we're trying to do. Get them in there, teach them the real meaning of mental health, mental illnesses, and you know, and help them work out. It's another form. It's like CPR. You get taught CPR. You get taught combat life-saving techniques. Teach you how to do a tracheotomy. Really, all kinds of stuff like that, real quick to save that life. Do an IV, all that stuff. But we were never taught how to deal with a mentally ill soldier. All right, with, you know, mental health. That was me too. When I was like, I didn't know about it. You know, I don't want to deal with that stuff. And you know, this guy's crazy. Get him out of here. Take him to Ward 7. Done. Lock the key. Oh, I want a new soldier. All right. But it doesn't work like that. And I found out that I invaded Iraq in March 19th, 2003, and we had a lot of problems when we got back. Even during our invasion, when we took Baghdad, we were the first American boots into what they call now the Green Zone, and we took out the what is now the American Embassy. It was a four-head palace for Saddam. We started getting into a lot of battles and, you know, a lot of shooting, a lot of killing, all that stuff. And I could see the effects of it in my soldiers, you know, and you could see them just doing the glaze and just wanting to be alone and all that stuff. And you would just, you know, we had to do something. And I was like, hey, something's wrong. We got to get this stuff straight. There was no such thing as, I don't know, any kind of mental health people there because they weren't allowed to. Only combat soldiers were allowed into Baghdad for 1 month. No medevacs, no helicopters, no nothing. So here these guys were getting drained for, you know, we were in combat for 26 days, I believe it was, and it just gets to you, you know, all the killing, all the explosions, and you're seeing your buddy's arms getting blown off. I mean, it affects you. So we try to pull together and just, I didn't even know what I was doing, but trying to get something to help each other out. And one day, I'll tell you, it didn't really work that well because EOD decided to blow up a bomb next to us, and next thing we do, we started going crazy. We jumped over the wall. We told him we were going to kill him. He was an American soldier, but we're like, oh, can you ever do that stuff again? And they gave us a 3-day stand down, no weapons, all right? So, you know, I guess it didn't work that well, but, you know, you learn. And then when we got home from this deployment, you mark out this whole questionnaire saying, have you ever seen dead bodies? Yep. Have you ever seen dead civilians? Yep. Have you ever killed somebody? Yep. You did this? Yep. How do you feel? Do you want to see a doctor right now? Hell no. I want to go home. All right? I don't want to stay in the hospital for another 2 weeks. All right? Or get counseled. No, I want to drink my beer and be with my wife. All right? And I'm not going to stay another 2 damn weeks, so I'm going to lie. So you're going to see that these soldiers, right when they get back, they're going to say, yep, everything's great. Good to go. Drink that whiskey, drink the beer, go out, have a good time, and then all of a sudden that thing just wears off. You're looking about 3 months here. And here with 1st Armored Division, where I retired from, out of Fort Bliss, you're going to see a lot of soldiers acting out. And you probably already have. You know, what's that place? The monkey? Three-legged monkey. Soldier. 2 soldiers right there. All right? Whipping out a shotgun and boom, 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 boom. I mean, that's wild. But what it is, they have this switch that just turns on and turns off so quick. They don't even think about situational awareness. All they do is think about taking out people. That's my military language, all right? Military language. Excuse my French. Yeah. See, I always fail at that. But all right, excuse me for that. But that's just going to happen. You know, you got these soldiers that get these high-speed motorcycles, and they just go 150 miles down Montana and get sideswiped this van, and then dies instantly. That was one of my soldiers, all right? And he had a problem, and I knew he had a problem. I seen it, you know, and we just needed outreach. We needed someone, you know. The system back then, the Army did not, it took so long to get an appointment or to try to help somebody, you know, they'd come back, like if it was a Friday, come back Monday, we'll see you. What's going to happen over the weekend, all right? The VA is the same way. It's taken me, you know, months to try to get an appointment. Soldiers, we try to help soldiers, walk them through, and there's roadblocks. That's another reason why I started this VRP, the Veterans Rally Point, along with, it's a two-man fire team, all right? Me and Dan Weber, that's it. But we go on post, we go everywhere we can to help the soldiers out and their family members, all right? The family members, and this goes, again, like I said, this is everybody, but like I said, I'm speaking for my own experience with the military. The soldier, the family, they get PTSD too. Because they see their husbands or their wives going through it. And they get affected by that. I know from firsthand experience, and my wife can tell you too, it gets to you. And I denied it for 22 years. I denied it, and I said, that's not going to happen to me. That's showing that you're weak. I'm supposed to take care of my men. It's not supposed to happen to me, all right? I'm supposed to help them out. Those guys have it, not me. But then all of a sudden it just broke, you know. My wife could see me start, you know, deteriorating, getting depressed, waking up with wild nightmares, going crazy, you know, crying in my sleep, screaming in my sleep, wanting to kill somebody in my sleep. And then looking at a piece of meatloaf and just like looking with all the ketchup there and just like went poof, down, you know. I was in my zone, you know. It did affect it. So that's when basically my wife told me I needed help. She's the one who basically got me, told me to go to see a doctor and, you know, help yourself now. It's time to help yourself. And I took that advice, all right? And I'm still working with it and still struggling with it every single day. You know, I do have to take my meds. I call them happy pills. I don't even know how to pronounce them, but there's a bunch of them. But you know, it makes me happy. When I don't take it, it makes me very mad. And then she goes, "Have you taken your meds today?" But it does help me, and along with counseling, and back to the family, they need counseling too. They need to know the symptoms. They need to know what's going on with their husband's or their wife's brain right now. What are they thinking? Why are they staring in a distance and not even listening to them, and just like you're just blanked out, and all of a sudden you snap out of it and you don't know, you know. My wife's like, what are you just doing right now? Oh, nothing, don't worry about it, you know. Or I smell this weird smell, you know, and all of a sudden I start getting into the zone, you know, checking my security out, all that stuff. You know, once they understand what we are going through, the better the family is. I truly believe in that, and we started a program called Operation Resilience Family, and it is a 8-week course, 8 weeks of a structured type of. It's not like a session where you just go smoke and drink beer and talk about war times. You really have to get out there and open up, okay? And it's a great course. It's open to Iraqi vets and OEF, or Operation Enduring Freedom vets, yeah. But that will help. And like I said in the video, our goal is to do this before, during, and after a deployment, all right? And you could say that too, as before and during and after a traumatic event here in El Paso. Look at what we got across the border, you know? That place is worse than Baghdad right now. You know, it's bad, and you're going to see it. You know, you had a Border Patrol person shoot a kid. That's a traumatic event right there, all right? It's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. And that's why we gotta, like in my military, man, we gotta train the family, or tell them before, hey, this stuff could happen right here. If you see any type of problems, here's where you call, here's your resources right here. And, I might not be the perfect person or know everything, but I know where to find that resource, all right? And I can get that resource. Stuff like that during the traumatic event, crisis intake unit, things happen, we have to go down there. We put on our mental health first aid hat, and we go down and help that person out. Just being there sometimes just helps that person out. You don't even have to talk. And then after, obviously that's going to be a hard time getting over that traumatic event. And just being there, helping out with a peer-to-peer support group that we run too. What that does is what we have is like we're all combat vets, and we can all talk together. Okay, when I was going through, I didn't want to see a doc. I didn't know anything about combat because I'm not going to share my stories with this civilian. Now I'm a civilian, but I'm not going to share. Why? They don't have the honor. They don't have the respect. I don't even want to talk to them. So then I get together with a soldier that's been through it, and then we could talk about it. It's really easy to open up because we start comparing notes, and talking about war, talking about, hey, oh yeah, were you in Mosul that year? Oh no, I was there the year before, blah, blah, Fallujah, all that stuff. And then it starts opening up the conversation. And then we have a dialogue that we go over, and that discussion lasts until it's finished. It's you feel better after that peer-to-peer session. And then that's the first step. Okay, we get those soldiers in here, and we kind of like sucker them in. Peer-to-peer first, Operation Resilient Family. Hey, you got a family member? Yeah, me and my wife are going through a divorce, and we're doing this, we're doing that. We're going through hard times. Bam, let's talk to them. They need some help with Operation Resilient Family. Let's get them some sort of help, That's the next step, helping out the family members, even the children. My children went through the whole ordeal. My son was born on March 17th, 1989, but I called him from the middle of the desert in Kuwait, right next to the berm. We were going to blow up a couple days later, and called him, got a hold of this contractor, got a satellite phone, and told him happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday, blah, blah, blah. And then George Bush goes on the TV saying, hey, you got 48 hours. Well, we blew the berm at 8:04 p.m., 19 March, and blew that berm, and we were just in. And my son goes, oh, great. What a great birthday present. Dad's going to war. And here I was going, yeah! And then, but at home, they're stressing. And think about during that time, CNN and Fox News was nothing but 100% war. They couldn't get away from it, and we were back there. It's like, hey, does America know that we're at war yet? We don't, we didn't know. We're just going down there shooting and looting, but back in the States, it was nothing but, the Army. Well, in Hinesville, Georgia, when I was in 3rd Infantry Division, that's the little Army town there. It's nothing but the war. They can't get away from it, and that's a form of PTSD. All the stress. Apparently one day that on Fox News, I was a platoon sergeant at the time in the reconnaissance platoon. They got word that we were taking over a bridge. So yes, we were taking over a bridge, and we went back past there. We got in this huge ambush. It was 100 green suiters, bad guys, and the report said the whole scout platoon was killed. The whole platoon was dead, and everybody freaked out. I guess my wife was just. Everybody started. All the wives started calling everybody, and they knew it was my platoon. They even reported on the TV, my unit, and the whole community just started freaking. I mean, could you imagine that? On TV, your spouse someone says, "Hey, your spouse just got killed," in this huge ambush. The actual result was one of my men got shot in the face, and that was it. And he was okay. We patched him up, and he kept on fighting. But that's a stressful situation that family has to go through, right? It is. All right. So, go ahead. You guys can ask any questions anytime too. I'm all open about that. But that's the stuff that we want to train, or not train, well, teach the family members.
Some of their experiences going in to see a psychotherapist. One of the things that frustrates them most is that someone's trying to empathize and say, I can imagine you going through that. And they say,
No, you can't. Exactly. Yeah.
And so is it wrong for a psychotherapist in certain contexts, because it's this fundamental of a lot of psychotherapeutic theories, that you build this empathy with the client, and that helps you relate to them, and then you move forward from there. But if the soldier or veteran feels like they can't, you could never relate to that, then it seems to be a large barrier. So it seems like a better thing would be to say there's sympathy there, but to ever try and relate is almost like putting up a barrier.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's exactly what I was just saying. Yeah. You just say, oh no, I know how you went through that, or I could just feel, no, you haven't, you know? Have you ever heard the crack, or when that RPG hit my head? No, I mean, right above my head? You didn't feel that. I felt it, you know? And you're absolutely right. Yeah. That's why we don't, a lot of times we don't like talking to them, because they just, they don't have a clue, No offense but I guess it's a, bravado thing, like, because we're the soldiers, the badass soldiers, who we like to kill. But yeah, definitely. All right. Yeah, and then we get into Operation Resilient Families. Okay, that's the second step. And then the third step, then we take those soldiers who really need help to the clinicians, to the people that know really, because they know how to deal with that, and we have to pick the right clinicians too. We have, was it 50 CPT certified that deals nothing but with soldiers, the veterans, all right? And it's a great course. A lot of our people, a lot of our men has gone through this course and really helped them out a lot. So we're like kind of like recruiters in the bottom, trying to recruit those people in, bring them in. You can lie to them, whatever you want. It don't matter as long as they're in here, at the VFW or whatever. We're watching or we're helping out. No, we're not going to lie to them. But then we find out there's another problem. We take them up that next step higher, and it's only if these soldiers want to, But we really try to encourage them to go, because it is like exactly what Alfonso was saying. It's like, you got that billboard saying, yeah, Del Sol saved my life. Whoa, hey, El Paso MHMR saved my life. And it's like, wait a second, that guy must be crazy. That's the breaking that stigma again. All right. It's hard, but then as soon as you get into it and they get into it, you could see them change. You should see them start smiling, start opening up. And it's a good cause. It's a good. I just feel it's a good something to help people out. And now we want to start bringing that out to the police force. We've done classes with the sheriff department. We've talked to the crisis teams. I actually went out on a call, me and Jesus, where a veteran barricaded himself, and we were there to help out. Okay, he got out with no problems, and I was up there talking to him. His main thing as a GI, and which I failed to have, was Copenhagen. He said, "I just want a can of Copenhagen," And I was looking up Chris, one of the negotiators. So I was like, "Do you got any Copenhagen?" He goes, "I just quit." I said, "I quit too," But I couldn't help it. But that would have been, so next time I'm going to bring a can of Copenhagen, because a lot of soldiers like doing that. But that just calms them down, just talking to him. I said, "Look, I'm not even part of this, I'm Mike Anslinger, Veterans Rally Point. I'm here to help you. Everything's cool," and all that stuff. And I went with him from there to the jail. He had problems getting his meds for PTSD, and we worked out a way with the jail and with the jail nurse or whatever, nurse or somebody, but helped him out getting the meds. Eventually, he finally got the meds. That was good. It helped him out. We're also part of a jail diversion program for veterans. It's sort of new. We're starting it. Well, I am part of it, and what we're trying to do right there for the vets that get help, if once we find out there's a veteran or soldier that has been put in jail, we're going to be there to help if there's a mental issue, how the situation occurred, what were the circumstances, you know. I mean, then you can tell, like, hey, this soldier needs a little bit of help, you know. So we can help him out with the Veterans Court. And basically what that does, it's not just like, okay, you can go home, you're good because you're a vet. No, you have to be able to be part of the Veterans Rally. You come into our position, our Veterans Rally Point, yeah, our group sessions. You know, go through, if you need any type of family counseling, you know, go through Operation Resilience Families. Go to the CPT, you know, to help that soldier out. And instead of keeping them in jail, we're going to help that individual out. We do that with mental health too. It's the same. It's going to basically mirror that in a way. All right. Also, the free legal services for veterans. We went up and fought for that, and they gave us free, you know, legal services for vets. We're helping out homeless vets with their clothes and everything. A lot of the homeless vets don't really want to have a home, and they'll tell you, it's like, I don't need a home. So what are you going to do with that person? You know, you can't force them in a home and lock them in there. You know, they feel comfortable. I got this guy that he lives in a hole. I mean, he dug a bunker into the ground, and he lives there now, and that's his place. You know, what are you going to do? Well, you know what you're going to do? You're going to give him a blanket. You're going to give him some socks, you know, a Gore-Tex parka, whatever, just to help him out. And anything you do like that will help him, you know, and then they appreciate that. And then eventually, like maybe a couple years down the line, we keep on talking to him, we get him out of that hole, and then get him some help, you know. But it's going to be a long process. And that's the same thing with civilian life. I don't know how to call it. I keep on saying the police force and a lot of medical, like, think about an emergency room, how crazy that stuff is. You know, you got stabbings here, shootings, you name it, you know, car accidents, everything. And those emergency room personnel see it all. You know, same goes with the medics in the Army. You know, the medics have to, like, you shoot a guy and he lives. As an American soldier, you go to that soldier is no longer combative, or that enemy is no longer a bad guy, you will save his life. Now that really gets on that medic going, wait a second, you know, he was just shooting at me and my, you know, sergeant, and then now my sergeant shot him, but he didn't die. Now I have to save him. You know, what is that? And I just, that's being an American soldier. We don't kill. You know, we don't kill. And especially when that soldier's down, and you know, I'm not going to put a bullet in there for that. No, he deserves, you know. He served his country just like I did. So we're going to help him out. I don't know how to use this thing. I think I just broke it. Yeah, I'm not buying it. All right, any questions so far? Go ahead.
Quick question. With the increase in combat that we're having, you know, and the decrease in mental health services that we're having, what are therapists to do with that barrier that is between veteran and active duty?
If I knew, I'd be a millionaire. I don't know. I mean, it's hard because, yeah, look at the VA. The VA system, we don't have docs there. We don't have docs. They go for 3 months and then they're gone. You know, and then, you know, here I am trying to fix myself. You know, and I see a new doc every single time I go there. I got to tell the same story over and over and over. Where I know, because I watch these idiots, well, they keep on typing things on a computer. I said, why don't you scroll down for the past year, you know, see what's happening, you know, but they want to hear the whole story, you know. It's hard, and at Beaumont, you know, it's a really tough situation, but right now, the Fort Bliss is really open, they're opening up to the, they're trying to get away from this stigma. And I could see it in it, their main emphasis is, trying to get physicians, trying to get docs up there to William Beaumont to help out. It's a battle, and I never knew it was this bad until y'all actually jumped into it, from your personal experiences.
Just, I mean, if I may, the reason I ask is, I work with the and one of the things that is similar experience well, you know what I'm going through, I'm diagnosed.
Yeah.
But after you get past that, or they accept it, or what something happens in the relationship, then, therapy can be done with that individual.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm looking at.
I see. Yeah, first you gotta build that, you're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, but, you gotta build that trust. Okay, for me, trust is everything. Because if I have a buddy, that had my back for my 15-month deployment, every single day we would go out patrol, and I knew that he had my back every single time. That's trust. And it's hard to get trust from another individual that you don't know. You have to build that trust. And it's definitely, there's some things I don't trust anybody, but it takes a long time for me to trust. Go ahead.
You mentioned just a while ago that you didn't know how bad it was until you were exposed to the community here. But a couple months ago, the whole nation knew how bad Bliss was handling some of the PTSD and the TBIs. So I'm just wondering, as a community, have they recovered from that? Are they on task again, or?
I'm deaf this year from RPG class, so go ahead.
Well, I was just talking about that write-up that NPR did a couple of months ago on how poorly the community, Bliss specifically, was dealing with TBIs and the PTSD. So have they recovered from that? Are they doing a better job?
They're still working. Yeah, they're recovering, and they're getting better and better every day. Because they originally they thought they could take care of this problem all by themselves. We don't have a problem. Everything's cool. The Army, the big brass and everybody wants to make sure they got a good OER or a good HOER, non-commissioned officer's evaluation report or officer's evaluation report. And a lot of times they if they don't want to say something bad like, hey, there's a problem here, we need to fix it. Okay? But then you have leaders now that literally go, hey, we have a problem now, and we need to fix it. We need help we need the community's help. And that's where me and Dan came in place to start going to linking up with all these big officers and non-commissioned officers and ask for their help. I mean, tell them we're here, this is us. So yes, it is continuing to build, and I think that stigma is getting better and better. I mean, it's getting washed away, and hopefully, we continue with that. But like I said, up in the top, a lot of times they don't see the actual picture down on the bottom with the individual soldiers. I mean, hardly never, So that's why we go down here, and then we check out the situation. Then we go back up to the top saying, hey, General, this is what's going on. And that's what me and Dan do. That's part of our job. We get the feel down there. So hopefully it works out. And then they let us go out and say, because before they wouldn't let us do anything. We have no problem. MHMR, we don't need your help. There's, Army's got it. It's our problem. Those are our soldiers. We'll take care of them. Oh, by the way, you can take the families, no problem. But not the soldier, all right? So that's what it was. Now it's building even better. All right, it's getting better. Knock on wood. All right. Any more? Any questions? How long have I gone? Go ahead.
Daughter, Vietnam vet, one of the lucky ones who came home, and I'm really glad as being a product of that there are family supports now. Because at that time it was, let's just say it was very difficult, and most people didn't even talk about
Absolutely,
that experience.
Absolutely.
And so, one other suggestion, that's my comment, but just gone on to work in women's health, and one of the things I often hear from sexual assault nurses, women working in the battered women's shelters, is that those staff members eventually leave the field, high suicide rates, PTSD.
Absolutely.
So I just would
Yeah, that's one of our main focus. That's one of the hardest things to get into is the female. The female veterans and soldiers that gone through either sexual assault and PTSD, well, eventually will turn into PTSD. But I'm talking through combat. That's a hard because it's worse than a male soldier because it's really they don't want to open up, and we're trying to break that, that mold, because we're starting to recruit, the females to get taught into peer-to-peer facilitator. Dan's wife is a Operation Resilient Family instructor, and we're trying to get that open. But that is a very, very hard thing. There is a big focus on that, and because it's something so new, because really, through the history of combat, women weren't allowed on the front line. Iraq, there's no front line, all right? And Afghanistan, there's no front line. There's a border, but that's nothing, all right? And those females are truck drivers, medics, NBC NCOs, NBC soldiers, all kinds of jobs. They're out there getting blown up, and getting shot at and have to return fire. So it is there, and we know it's a problem. We want to help, Anything else? Questions? What else? Forget?
I was going to make one comment about
Okay.
both you asked questions about being on the other side when you're serving people, and whether it's substance abuse or PTSD or HIV/AIDS or sexual assault. Sometimes I think the best thing to do in those situations is to say, you're absolutely right. I don't know anything about what you went through, and I'm hoping you can help me understand. And sometimes that breaks the barrier because most people, especially, they're already sitting across from you.
Yeah.
So they're there trying to get some help, and so sometimes just giving them the opportunity to talk and just saying, you're absolutely right. I can't have a clue
Yeah.
what you've been through. And I think more and more we're going to see that in our roles, especially with I was in the Army Reserve before the first Desert Storm. And none of us ever got to school. We never did anything. Dangerous. We just got to training and got paid for it.
Yeah.
That's fine. But the last 20 years, reservists and the part-time soldiers have seen just as much, if not more,
Oh, yeah.
combat. And so there's this whole other.
Yeah.
We're going to see people that we don't think of as soldiers because we just know them as the teacher or the other people that may be in the reserve that are going to be suffering similar issues.
Absolutely right.
The fact that you guys are all here in this room and you guys are here sharing things with us is
That's a good point too about the National Guard and Reserve. They're deploying now more than the active duty soldiers. I mean, it's crazy. We got the Texas National Guard coming down here, some of them on their 5th and 6th deployment. That's crazy, So, and then there's our main folks right there. Exactly what you're saying. They get out of the Army, they get out, they demob, and they're back in the civilian life. And you don't know they're soldiers. And all of a sudden, now you got to deal with them. And what's the matter with this guy, Well, he's a combat vet, He's done 4 or 5 deployments, but he's working at Lowe's here, I mean, that's a whole different thing, and we're fighting that too. It's a battle. But, we're still continuing to drive on. And like I said, I try to compare that to, here outside the community and anything. Post-traumatic stress can happen to anybody, not just soldiers. I mean, and we have to be able to deal with that to help that individual out because, that gets more into the anxiety and all my stuff, flashbacks and dreams, and we got to help that individual out, and hopefully we just keep on going and they don't give up. Any questions? Have I gone too long or not enough? Hooah. All right, thank you. There you go.